Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Musical Peoples and Journeys rock album reviews, where we are reviewing two albums, mash them up, go put them head to head, which one we're going to buy, then we rate them out of 5 for our listening pleasure, and then we go, hey, did this get into our Hall of Fame because it got to score more than 20 to get into our Hall of Fame, and will it then get into our Album of the Year reviews? Oh, it's all exciting stuff here, isn't it? So, who have we got up today, kiddos? Well, we have the mighty Overkill and their album Scorched, Will It Be On Fire, and Black Orchid Empire, and Tempus Veritas. What a great name. What a great name. But who are these guys? Who are they? Well, if I can quickly find my my wonderful notes that I happened to accidentally fall off when I accidentally dropped my speaker in the last one. Anyway, Overkill is an American thrash metal band formed in 1980 in New Jersey. They've gone through many lineup changes, funny that, in our industry, leaving bassist Didi Varani and lead vocalist Bobby Blitz Ellsworth as the only constant members. Love American bands, normally I can pronounce their names. In addition to Venny and Ellsworth, Overkill's current lineup includes Dave Alinsk on lead guitar, Derek Taylor on rhythm guitar, and Jason and Bittner on drums, along with Nuclear Assault and Anthrax, who was one-time lead guitarist Dan Spitz. Was also an early member of Overkill. The band is one of the most successful East Coast thrash metal bands, and they are often called the Motorhead of thrash metal, based on a unique playing style which they influenced by punk rock and new wave British heavy metal. The band was a notable mascot named Charlie, a skeleton bat with skull-like face, horns, bony wings and green eyes, who has appeared on most of their album covers. Dun dun dun! Bit of thrash metal. Simon, let's start with you and Overkill then. Well, change of pace to what we've listened to so far this month for you guys then. What did you think of Overkill?
Look, I'm not going to overlabor this review too much. I don't want to overbear my opinion or overwhelm the show with an already oversaturated, overjoyed and overwrought opinion, so I'll not overstay my welcome nor over-embellish my feelings with an overstatement. I'll simply say Overkill is overdone. Review over.
I'm overawed by that.
Okay.
Can we go back in time 10 seconds before I heard that, please?
Yeah, sorry, your mic was muted, mate. Could you say that again?
I saw his mouth move. I didn't hear anything. What's going on?
So, without further ado, over to you, Will.
It was music, wasn't it? Thrash metal isn't my general go-to in the world of metal. But this was music. They played it. They played guitars quickly and sung at a relatively similar speed to the guitars, which I think means it was in fact a thrash metal album. Well done. It's just a bit old for me, isn't it? It's like old 80s thrash metal, but now, and they're still doing it. Just do something new, please. Thank you. The end. Music.
Well,
I don't really care for thrash.
Will's killed that, so over to you then, Ian.
So I put this test down as heavy metal. That's it. I agree with you, Will. If it's thrash metal as your just definition, I'll go with that. I think that's a good assumption or deduction. Sorry. I found the album to be very unoriginal in the most part. However, there is a standout track on the album for me. I loved it. It was Fever. I thought that was a really good departure from the rest of the... I was going to say plodding, but it didn't plod, did it? It just... it kind of... Oh, yeah, I know what it did. It was one of those fast walkers. That's what it was. It was... it wasn't plod. Yeah, it was
Power walking.
Power walking.
Thrash.
Yeah,
thrash
I was
walking.
trying to avoid using the word power because that implies power metal, which this is not. I found the vocalist, I found his sound was either engaging or annoying. It's kind of like the Marmite vocalist vocal sound. I found it to be the latter. I found it to be annoying. So that really didn't help. There was a troubling use of stereo in that. and a couple of the tracks. I hope it's not my headphones. So I don't know if anyone else found this, but they switched to mono at one point, or switched between the left and the right, but it wasn't done properly. So I was like thinking, oh, have my headphones just crapped out? Now, it could have been that my headphones did crap out at that moment, but maybe other people can confirm whether they heard that as well. It was only in a couple of the tracks. I thought it was not my cup of tea, but it was a solid album, but mostly very samey, and not one for my playlist.
Trish?
Hello.
Bit of overkill?
I'm dead. So, I mean, we all know thrash is not my cup of tea, but I always have to be open-minded. The lead definitely had sandpaper vocals throughout this album, but the music was just way too heavy for me. I like to enjoy music. I did struggle to follow what the songs were about, but I guess my ears are not functional to this genre of rock. But I'm sure fans will find plenty of value on Scorched. Unfortunately, I could only manage one listen at that.
Oh. So originally, when I did the original lineups, they were up against Metallica. And then I had to cut a few albums out, and for some reason I didn't leave them up against Metallica, which would have been the perfect matchup really, because obviously Metallica reached out, and there's a lot of similarities in terms of the tone out there. And I missed out thrash metal. I mean, back in the 80s and 90s, I kind of missed out to it, and I'm kind of finding I kind of like it. In a weird sort of way, and then also in a weird sort of way, I'm with you, Ian. I was on the fence between whether I actually liked his vocals, and for some reason, don't ask me why. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why. I ended up on the other side of the fence, and I quite enjoyed it. And I thought it was. I don't know whether it was because it went along with the music, and they seem to complement each other really, really well. I think if it was in any sort of other genre, I would have probably absolutely hated it. But I found myself headbanging to it, and I found myself actually quite. I did. I can't help it. I like that heavy side, and maybe because in my youth I was very much against. I didn't particularly like Metallica, and I didn't get into thrash metal. But I like that driving beat, and don't get me wrong, it's not an album that I'm going to listen to again and again and again. But I ended up enjoying the album, and I can't really give you a definitive answer for why that, other than I just headbanged most of the way through it, and I was headbanging when I was walking, and I ended up quite bizarrely, which is unusual for me for this type of vocal, actually enjoying it. But I just think it complemented the music really well. I thought instrumentally they were fantastic, really tight, really well produced. I think as a thrash metal album goes, it was solid. I thought it was really solid. But I mean, it wasn't as good as Metallica, but it was solid. Yeah. So you're on mute, Ian.
Thank you. Sorry. Can I challenge you? I don't mean to be strong with the word challenge, but during the last thing, when you reviewed Powerwolf, you were talking about the repetitiousness of it and so forth wasn't your thing. Obviously, a lot of us found this quite repetitious and samey. What was the difference? Was it just different genres, or
no? Because even though the driving beat was the same, there was variation. I thought there was a lot more variation in what they were doing in terms of Powerwolf, and it could be one of also expectations as well. I think my expectations of Powerwolf was a lot higher, and also I haven't got a lot to compare on the power metal side with much else other than the Metallica album that I'd listened to. Whereas we've listened to a lot of power metal over the last kind of 18 months, and obviously I'm comparing a lot of power metal, and in comparison to some of the up and coming, for me, thrash metal doesn't need a huge amount of variation. Power metal does, in my opinion. It needs variation for me to be absorbed in it. Whereas if I'm in the mood for thrash metal, which I've discovered I'm in the mood, and boom, I can just headbang away. Whereas for me personally, when it comes to power metal, I like to be, like I've listened to the Sabaton album after we went through there, and I felt I was in World War One. I felt I was there. I felt I could picture myself in on that dreadnought, watching the dreadnoughts do nothing at all, or up on the mountains, and you know what I mean. So, but there we go. So anyway, right, okay, Black Orchid Empire. Who are they then? Tempus. So again, not much about them. So I had to take it from the website. So Black Orchid Empire create a huge, memorable rock music that combines heavy-hitting savagery with intense melodic beauty. Then technical, fearless, complex grooves with genetic. This sounds like I'm reviewing rather than giving you some background. Sing-along choruses that have earned them the widespread fan base. A ferociously tight live band, Black Orchid Empire have toured Europe and the UK extensively, supporting Skunkanasia, HAD, IMNE, and Black Map, never heard of them, as well as festival slots at Download, Planet Rock Station. Black Orchid have sealed band's reputation as a force to be reckoned with. Well, we'll find out a little bit more about that. Having released their debut album Archetype in 2016 to universal acclaim, they signed with German label Long Branch Records to release their follow-up albums Jugend and Sephomore. Both albums received stellar reviews and lots of stuff. Anyway, what do you think then? Let's start with William then. Black Orchid Empire. Have they come on your radar at all?
Well, given their fantastic review themselves and saying memorable, clearly, if they have not stuck around because this album was very unmemorable to me. I think it's just, again, it's not my cup of tea. I found it really hard to just sit and focus and listen to it because I couldn't really get into it or find it very enjoyable. It was, I don't know if it was some of the sound or the vocals or the music of it. I don't necessarily think they were bad, but I couldn't get into it. I listened to it about 4 times, and each time I was like, I went back to listen. I don't actually remember any of this song. It's an album that played music and was not my cup of tea. A bit too slow and dull for my tastes, but that's okay.
Ooh, very different. Bit of a bad mashup, wasn't it, between thrash metal and this band? And yeah, but anyway, what's our preference going to be? Ian.
Is it not Black Orchid Empire rather than Orchard Empire? I thought it was Black Orchid. Or I just okay, that's cool.
Yes.
I didn't mean to pick you up.
In Welsh, orchard means orchid. In Welsh.
Right. Okay. Okay. One of the things I love, and this is no criticism at all, I really enjoy your pronunciation of some names. Nigel, completely. I say that with love.
Simon comes into the office and absolutely rips into me.
Gobsmacked.
You're
I'm
right.
gobsmacked all the time.
And your pronunciation of skunk and Nancy was the best yet. That was fantastic. I love that. And I say that with love, Nigel. Please don't ever change.
Maybe I should send over the script to each one of you, and you all take.
No.
I'm gonna let you all take a turn on it. So,
No, definitely not. 100%. I describe this as expressive heavy metal, and I thought that the opening eponymous titled track, eponymous to the album, was just that intro that comes in, and when Simon, I think in one interview, was talking about an intro being, is it worth it? Does it have a place here? And I feel the same about song titles that have the same name as the album, but this builds. And I got that feeling of Hans Zimmer's Inception, the music for Inception coming from it as well, and builds up beautifully, and then explodes into Hydrogen. And I was hooked, absolutely hooked with that build up and that explosion. What kept me going was the lyrics throughout. I thought the lyrics were really clever, and they triggered me being inquisitive. The first time I noticed that was when the lyric was, "When I die, where will the memory lie?" And I'm like, whose memory? Your memory? Where's that going? Someone else's memory? Where does that? I thought, and you know, we've had a funeral this week, so maybe that's on my mind a little bit more. But I found I was challenged in the best ways. As Will highlighted something, and I love learning. We were talking about the demon thing in the last episode, I think. They're from London, my hometown. So I was really pleased about that. I'd love to know where in London they're from. That would be awesome. The production in The Raven, I thought, was amazing, absolutely outstanding, and it was that they had beautiful, edgy, throbbing bass in Last Ronin, and I love that theme of taking the Seven Ronin and talking about the Last Ronin. I believe that's where it's from. That was my interpretation of it. And then the beautiful, soaring, anthemic Scarlet Haze it just took you on another level on this album. And in that song, there was an insanely effective use of the major to the minor. So we hear it in Nobody Does It Better, the James Bond thing by Carly Simon, when it drops. And in that, just goes to that minor, and it's just so good. It really stands out. And I've just written here 4 words: blew my fucking mind.
Trish,
and I don't swear that often.
Now, did it blow your mind, or did it blow something else?
Right,
Why do you do this to me?
Because it's you. It's fun.
Oh my God!
When I said don't change, Nigel, some things might need to change.
Well, I meant as in a musical gasket rather than anything else. I mean, you know, so it's...
With the title of the album, I was expecting something very sort of power metal-y, but I sort of didn't really have I had no idea really what to expect. The title opening track starts off very gentle and subtle, gradually building the tension into you wondering what is going to come, and then the guitars hit with the lead vocals. The style of the album is a blend of prog rock, melodic rock and metal. The songs seem to flow well on the album, 11 tracks and 38 minutes long. It's an easy listen if you're a fan of contemporary rock and metal, but I don't know, there was just something that it just didn't grab me or blow me, as you like to put it.
Okay, Simon, where are you going? Are you agreeing with Will? Are you going with Ian? What was your take on this album?
Well, oof. How diametrically opposed is this album to its competition on the stage? Black Orchid Empire, for me, it seemed to defy the simple classification as a prog metal band, which is apparently what they are, as the tracks sway from style to style, showcasing mastery of their craft with some deep melodies and really rich sounds. I found myself feeling enveloped by the vocals and sort of sinking into the sound and immersing in those really sort of philosophical and wistful lyrics. The guitars and drums feel technical, like a traditional prog rock band would be, but without forming a mathematical equation in notations, which is forcing a distance from the average listener. So in particular, Hydrogen, as you mentioned, that's made it onto my all-time favorites playlist. I love that track. It's so beautiful. And there's just so many styles in those 4 minutes. It really goes through a blend of different sounds. Special mention as well to The Raven. And the final track, Latimer. I really like Latimer. I think it's a really good ending track. Very interesting. I was very surprised by this band. I was not expecting to like this at all. I thought, considering what it was up against, it would be some terrible trashy thing, but no, I'm absolutely blown by it.
If I have to add the word blow, this was the best blow musically that I have had. I agree with Ian and Simon. This album is an utter tour de fucking force. Scarlet Haze, Last Ronin, Raven. Oh my god! I actually found a similar vibe to White Raven Down in terms of its sound, but a little bit more, because they're quite technical, but it going off in slightly different directions. And I couldn't, and I'm really glad that Ian and Simon have paraphrased as well, because I couldn't work out why I loved this album so much, because it was so different. Because and I think Simon, you told me, because it wasn't prog rock. Because I find and distance yourself from the learner. Well, this is our own world. No, we're bringing you into our world, and we're gonna entertain you. Oh my god, what an album! By far the standout album of the 12 albums I've listened to over this month. It is utterly, it's a beautiful album. It's so good. It's so immersive. It does, I think you have to have time to really listen to it and appreciate it. And I'm surprised actually that, if you listen to it again, Trish, because there is a similar vibe sound to White Raven Down, who one of our kind of up and coming love bands that we have. But only in the vibe sense of way. There are a lot of differences between them, but I found that heavy kind of throbbing bassist kind of musicality to that as well. This is the only album I think I've added 3 or 4 tracks to my cool playlist, and Last Ronin and Scarlet Haze and stuff as well. I'm so pleased that I'm not the only one that's gone, what the hell? How? Why am I feeling like this and not understanding how it just brings you in? It's just such a wonderful album. Really, really, really is. So fantastic. So, but there we go. Right. Well, there we have it. Let's kind of let's find out what our scores are going to be. I think it might be an easy win here, but we will find out. Overkill versus Black Orchid. Orchid Empire. Walking through the orchids.
Not the orchard.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's just a rumour. A rumour. So, Trish, who did we start with? Who did we start with all of this? Was it? It was Trish, wasn't it? Trish, give me your marks out for Overkill.
1.
Simon.
1. They turned up.
Will.
Ditto.
Nothing. Oh, that's
Nil.
fine. Okay.
Nil. It's bored me.
And Ian.
I gave it 1 as well.
Well, I give it a 4.
Well, at least it hasn't got less than 5.
Well, yeah. At least it hasn't got less than Arctic Bloody Monkeys, that's for sure. Which I might give it less than that. But anyway, 7. I mean, that's going to end up in our bottom 10 albums of all time, probably, which I find that harsh. But it's all for our listening pleasure. It's all how much pleasure do we get from listening to that album, and you obviously didn't enjoy it, which is fine. Okay, Black Orchid Empire. Trish.
2.5.
Simon.
Oh, I'm going to go with the cheeky 5.
Cheeky 5. William.
An even cheekier 1.5.
You two Philistines, you lot. You really are Philistines. Ian.
This is the only album from this month that has made it on my albums I love playlist, and it gets a 5.
It's a 5. It's an easy 5 for me as well by a million miles. So absolutely terrific. But I didn't get to a Hall of Fame, I'm afraid. So 15, 17 and a half, 18, 19. 19, certainly right up there though. What an album! And as I say, an album to get into our Hall of Fame, it has to tick boxes with everybody, to get it around. Who knows? On a different month, you guys might have listened to it slightly differently, but that's okay. So, but by a million miles, it smashed. It was a whitewash in terms of the matchup between them and Overkill, because obviously we don't have many thrash metal fans on the panel today. But this is all to do with the journey. Our journey takes us down different paths. Some of them are dark and overgrown, and we don't like them. Others are beautiful orchids. Okay, so but for me, review of the month must go to Simon's Overkill review. That was fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, everybody, keep on rocking, keep on listening to rock music, keep it alive. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Hit the button if you want notifications. We review next month. We're reviewing a lot more. We're reviewing quite a few albums, which will be very interesting because it's just a plethora of album releases. So keep in tune, keep in touch, keep safe. Thank you very much to my wonderful panel, to Ian, to Trish, to Simon, and to Will. Keep on rocking out there, everybody, and keep safe.
Bye.